In just one short minute in the very beginning of this episode, before the opening kicks in, you have an establishing moment from Leo's past, and it really goes to highlight why humanity feared him, because one thing I was a little iffy about, which was in the beginning of episode 1 when he got pushed away from humanity, there wasn't really enough, in my opinion, to sell us on why humanity feared him. Obviously, if you use logic, you can piece it together about someone who's literally is a one-man army and, the fear of maybe if he ever betrays you, but given the fact that he just saved humanity, I think we needed a bit more. And I'm glad that he had a nightmare that kind of highlights just how much of a menace he, even himself, kind of viewed him as, right? He literally was okay with humanity fearing him if he could protect them, right? When an entire army would come and basically destroy your entire city, this man would jump from what seemed to be a plane and within a matter of seconds would cut apart an entire army, be covered in blood, no smile, just a menace. He really did feel like a villain from their point of view. And he even was okay making sure they understood that he was a hero and things like that. He was just there to protect him. So even though I think, of course, pushing away the person who saved you was wrong, you're starting to get more clarification, even from Leo himself, on why people feared him. And it's almost like he recognized that maybe he should have done things a bit differently, and maybe this all could have been prevented. Really, really good touch to kind of establish it after having a couple of pretty comfy episodes, and then even arguing this episode for the most part was 99% fluff, and just having best girl Demon Lord Echidna over here just, out drinking probably sailors from east to west. I really enjoyed the face reveal episode, I guess is what you could call it, even though it wasn't quite his face. He didn't have much time to change it massively. It still looked like Leo, all things considered, but given that she was a bit tipsy, and the fact that she seemingly is just a sweetheart with an innocent soul, she just bought into all the bullshit. I honestly was questioning pretty early on if he was going to have to take off his helmet, because you knew the face reveal just couldn't happen in this episode. It was too early. So the fact that he originally just kind of had his one plate pushed up, so he was drinking and eating, and then she pulls it off, and he does a little quick snap of his fingers, and then changes his face just enough. But I like the idea of a simple, almost dinner date with the boss, right? Someone who we've already established is not your typical demon lord. She's not someone bound and bent on killing humanity and, causing a ruckus. Literally, I think it was in the first episode, it was established that she didn't mindlessly kill humans. If she could avoid killing, she did so. And given the fact that both sides didn't suffer as many casualties as they would have, a lot of it was due to the fact that we had a demon lord who wasn't bent on killing. So the big question definitely was, if she wasn't, bound and bent on killing humans for the sake of it like a typical demon lord, then what was the purpose? My impression was that she wanted to rule, but didn't want to do so in a discriminate way or something like that, right? She didn't want to just be a mindless killer, but it turns out the fact that she just wants this Philosopher's Stone, something that in theory could change the demon realm from being poor, starving, fighting themselves just to stay alive, to something that could prosper similar to the human worlds. Lakes full of fish, fields that you could plow and grow crops, right? So I think it's a pretty noble idea, and the fact that she just doesn't, if she could avoid fighting humanity, she would do so. But the fact that she even has a bit of regret that maybe if she was a bit more violent, things might have turned out differently. And I like how there's even the joke of her saying she would welcome humans, demons, anyone who wants to aid her cause, except the hero. And then she goes on a big tangent and a rampage. And I love how Leo, in such an almost fourth wall break way, just says, we're going to leave her to her rant and I'm going to explain what the Philosopher's Stone is. Oh shit, she's still ranting? I don't have any more stories left to tell. Some really great comedy that's not super in your face, but it's subtle in just the right ways to leave a memorable joke in your mind until you get to the next episode, in my opinion. But I love the fact that she actually doesn't even hate the hero, all things considered. She's pissed off that the hero's the reason, but I love how she doesn't look at herself as the victim, but rather she started it. She went about things in a way that she thought would help her people, but she can't blame the person who was the guardian of humanity for defending humanity when an army came to invade and steal something. It makes total sense, and she would have done the exact same thing put on the other side, right? So I'm glad that the characters just aren't stupid in this show, right? There's definitely these gimmicks, like Lily as an example, and the idea of putting essentially a child in charge of kind of one of the most important things in rebuilding your army, which is kind of the distribution of supplies. But the idea of the actual, the reasons behind the leader's actions, it feels pretty genuine And while she might be a softie in comparison to demon lords across all different anime, I like this demon lord a far much more than most demon lords out there, because it feels like, in any other situation, she could be viewed as a human in a lot of stories, right? And I think that's what makes I'm Quitting Heroing much more interesting, is that rather than going about it in the typical, here's the demonic creatures, here's the humans, and obviously they fight each other, rather they're just living people who have their own beliefs, and because the demons had the short end of the stick in life, basically they couldn't feed, they couldn't raise crops and cattle and things like that, they're ultimately kind of shit out of luck and have to revert to things that are more demonic at face value. And of course, humans will never trust them because look at them, right? Humans in general don't even like humans in general that are slightly different than themselves. You really think they're going to like demonic creatures? Absolutely not. There may be a small group, but in very human fashion, we can look at our own history. We do not like things that are different, right? So I love the fact that they're letting us have a better bird's eye view to see where shit went wrong and why shit probably will never work out completely peaceful. Though if it is just a Philosopher's Stone that they need, I'm generally curious if it's going to be that simple, because you would think Leo himself could go get that stone at any moment. He probably could avoid killing every single person in his way and just knock him out and go steal the stone. I would imagine so, right? So the fact that it can't be that easy has me interested to see if the stone can't even do what she wants, because most people would try to use it for like immortality and stuff, and apparently that doesn't work. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen, because they ended the episode in a pretty hilarious way, because you knew he couldn't reveal it. It was too soon. Maybe episode 6 or in that area, but there's no way he would actually reveal himself even though he wanted to. So the idea that one of the generals went on a quest, the other general wants to kill himself because they both feel like failures and they're doing two very different things, is a pretty great way to establish the next 2 episodes, I imagine, or next couple of episodes anyway, because obviously if we've already had 2 out of the 4 kind of have their one-on-one time with Leo, the other 2 need to have it as well. I just was expecting a fight with the Demon Lord this episode. Instead, we got, her out drinking every sailor imaginable, and that's pretty fantastic. I've really come to appreciate this show. I think it's beautiful to look at. I love the general character designs and how different they all feel with each of the generals, and even just the goblins and the, just general demonic creatures. But I think the thing that continues to blow me away is it feels like at least once or twice in every episode, there's at least one background shot that just knocks my socks off. Whether it's, sunlight and just like the sunset, things like that, but just seeing the beauty of this world for something that should be so sinister, like that's the Demon Lord's castle, that's the most evil place in the world. Goddamn, I constantly feel like Leo being like, I want to fight for them, because it just feels like they're the side you want to see victorious. And I'm much more interested, I have to say, about the Demon Lord's agenda now that I know it's not simply about her conquering the world, but more so just trying to save her own section of it, no matter the cost, sort of a thing. And it'll be interesting to see, because if you now have revealed that kind of plot line of just needing the stone should be pretty easy to get when you have someone like Leo working for you, but at the same time, it can't be that easy, so I'm interested to see the plot twists and turns that they'll probably introduce to kind of keep this refreshing for another, at the very least, 8 episodes, and then multiple seasons if we could ever get that, or multiple novels if you ever decide to read it, right? But thoughts if you have any? What did you think of this episode? I honestly think this was probably the best episode out of the 4 if you ask me, but that's just me anyway, so let me know your feelings down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.